Forget what the travel guides are showing you. Forget the selfie sticks, the 2-hour queues, and the crowds that wash over Europe's biggest cities. There's a whole other side to Europe, a quieter, more authentic continent that's hiding just off the main roads, far from the usual tourist loop. This is a Europe of local legends and towns so perfectly preserved, they don't quite feel real. Europe keeps some of its best spots tucked away from the millions who flood its capitals each year. So we went looking for the places you're not really supposed to find, the towns that feel like a secret someone whispered to you. From a village built under giant boulders to a tiny hamlet only reachable by cable car, this is the Europe you were hoping to find. Today, we're sharing those secrets. We're pulling back the curtain on 15 of the most incredible hidden towns across the continent. Let's get into it. We're starting in Portugal, but not in Lisbon or Porto. We're heading inland, close to the Spanish border, to a village that seems to completely ignore the laws of physics, Monsanto. It's called the most Portuguese village in Portugal, and it's a masterclass in living with nature. The village is perched on a steep hill, famous for one mind-bending feature. Its houses are built directly into, around, and even underneath granite boulders, some weighing over 200 tons. Walking through Monsanto feels like you've stumbled into a fantasy novel. The narrow, cobbled streets twist up the hillside. Squeezing between giant stones of these ancient homes. That are literally the walls, roofs, and foundations of these ancient homes. You'll find doors tucked under massive stone overhangs and windows peeking out from behind solid rock. The most famous spot is the Casa de uma Só Tela, the most famous spotter that acts as its roof. It perfectly captures the spirit of the village. People adapting to the land, not forcing the land to adapt to them. The climb to the very top is a workout, but you're rewarded with the sprawling ruins of a medieval Templar castle and an incredible panoramic view of the countryside. Here, history isn't in a museum. You can feel it in the stones from the sunny hills of Portugal. We're jumping over to the Swiss Alps, to a place so quiet and untouched it feels like a secret only the mountains know. This is Gimmelwald, a tiny, car-free village that's one of the last true examples of authentic alpine life. You can't drive here. The only way in is a dramatic cable car ride or a serious hike, which instantly sets it apart from the bustling tourist towns nearby. Gimmelwald isn't a resort. It's a real farming community of about 120 people, where life follows the rhythm of the seasons. The landscape is dotted with traditional wooden chalets, some from the 1600s, and the only traffic noise is the sound of cowbells. In a brilliant move to protect their home, the villagers had the area declared an avalanche zone to stop developers from building it up. The result is a place of unbelievable beauty and peace. Hiking trails spiderweb out in every direction, offering stunning views of the Jungfrau Alles UNESCO World Heritage Site. This is a place to actually disconnect. Your phone signal will probably be terrible, but your connection to the world around you will be stronger than ever. You can try fresh cheese and milk straight from the local farms or just sit and listen to the silence of the mountains. Alright, now let's head to a region that most international travelers completely miss. Kasubi, in northern Poland. People call it Kashubian Switzerland, not for towering peaks, but for its gentle rolling hills, deep forests, and almost 700 lakes. It's a paradise for anyone who loves nature and wants to escape the crowds, offering a beautiful and budget-friendly alternative to Europe's more famous lake districts. But what really makes Kasubi special is its unique culture. The Kashubian people have their own language, distinct traditions, and a ton of folklore. There's a local legend that after God created the world, he had a bag full of leftover beautiful things, lakes, forests, hills, and he just emptied it all over Kasubi. The region is perfect for outdoor adventures. You can spend your days kayaking on the calm waters of Lake Wsiczki, cycling the 230 kilometers of dedicated trails, or exploring the 50-plus nature reserves. From the cultural center of Kartuzy to the mysterious ancient stone circles in Awoshieri, Kasubi is a trip into a part of Poland that feels timeless. Some secrets are just too beautiful to keep. And our next stop, Eski Krumlov in the Czech Republic, is one of them. It's not totally off the radar. But this UNESCO World Heritage Site is a real-life fairy tale that feels a world away from the chaos of Prague. Tucked into a sharp bend of the Vltava River, this town is an architectural dream. You can wander for hours through a maze of cobblestone streets, surrounded by buildings covered in Renaissance and Baroque frescoes. Every corner you turn reveals another perfect little square, a hidden courtyard, or a view of the massive castle that looms over the town. That castle, a huge complex of palaces and gardens, is the city's heart. Its decorated halls and the incredibly preserved Baroque theater are absolute must-sees. Beyond the castle, the town is full of art galleries, quirky museums, and cozy cafes. For a completely different view, rent a raft or a canoe and just float down the river, looking up at the town's stunning skyline. It gets its fair share of tourists, especially in summer, but if you wake up early or stay out late after the tour buses have left, the town's dreamlike magic is all yours. Next, we're off to the Netherlands, to a village so charming it's called the Venice of the North. But unlike its Italian cousin, Giethoorn has a quiet peacefulness that's all its own. The most amazing thing about this village, there are no roads. Life here happens on a network of quiet canals. The only way to get around Giethoorn is by traditional flat-bottomed boats, called whisper boats because of their silent electric motors, or by walking across the 180-plus wooden bridges that connect everything. The whole vibe is just pure peace. Thatched roof farmhouses from the 18th century sit on their own little islands, with gardens so full of flowers they spill down to the water. Exploring Giethoorn is like drifting through a painting. You can rent your own boat and just cruise the waterways at your own speed, finding little hidden corners of the village and the national park that surrounds it. Even though it's become more famous, it's managed to stay much more peaceful and intimate than Amsterdam or Rotterdam, giving you a peek into a slower, water-based way of Dutch life. From the Dutch canals, we're heading way up north, above the Arctic Circle, to the Lofoten Islands in Norway. Here, squeezed between jagged granite peaks that dive straight into the sea, is the tiny fishing village of Rijn. This place is all about raw, wild beauty, where nature puts on its best show. Rijn is famous for its iconic red fishermen's cabins, or rollerboer, which are built on stilts over the turquoise water. They create this stunning pop of color against the dark, moody mountains. Many of these cabins are now cozy places to stay, meaning you can wake up to one of the most incredible views on Earth. For hundreds of years, life here has been all about the sea, and you can still feel that heritage. In the winter, it's a perfect spot to watch the northern lights dance across the sky, and in the summer, you get the surreal experience of the midnight sun, where daylight never ends. The village is a dream for photographers and hikers. You can tackle the world-famous Rheinebrennen hike for a panoramic view that will absolutely floor you, or you can kayak in the calm fjord, just staring up in awe at the sheer cliffs. Despite its insane beauty, Rijn stays pretty quiet. A peaceful escape for anyone willing to make the trip to this remote corner of the world. We're heading back to Switzerland, but we're not going to the high Alps this time. We're in the north, where the Rhine River flows out from Lake Constance to find a town that is, quite literally, a piece of art, Stein am Rhein. This tiny, perfectly preserved medieval town is famous for one thing above all else, its stunning painted buildings. Walking into the main town square, the Rathausplatz, is something you won't forget. You're instantly surrounded by half-timbered buildings covered from top to bottom in colorful, detailed frescoes. These murals are centuries old and show historical events, Bible stories, and allegorical tales, turning the whole town center into an open-air art gallery. It was the first ever recipient of the Walker Prize for preserving its architectural heritage, and you can immediately see why. You can spend hours just wandering the side streets, admiring the incredible art and craftsmanship. The town is watched over by Hohinkelen Castle, perched on a hill above, which gives you a great view of the river and the red-tiled roofs. You can also check out St. George's Abbey, a former monastery that's now a museum. Stein am Rhein is a place where history and art aren't locked away. They're just part of the town itself. Alright, we're about halfway through our list and we've already found some of Europe's best-kept secrets. If you're enjoying this little escape and already planning your own adventure, go ahead and hit that like button for us. And if you want more videos that take you off the beaten path, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss a thing. Now, let's get back to the hidden gems. Our next stop is on the glittering coast of the Adriatic in Montenegro's Bay of Kotor. While most visitors head straight for the famous walled city of Kotor, just a short drive away is a much quieter, absolutely beautiful town, Perast. This tiny, stone-built village stretches for about a mile along the water, a peaceful lineup of old Baroque palaces and historic churches squeezed between the mountains and the sea. You can see Perast's glorious past as a powerful seafaring town under Venetian rule and its amazing architecture. Grand old palaces line the waterfront, hinting at the wealthy sea captains who used to live here. The town center is car-free, so a walk along the promenade is a wonderfully peaceful experience. But the most captivating thing about Perast isn't in the town. It's just offshore, two tiny picture-perfect islands. One, Svetiore, holds a Benedictine monastery and is close to visitors. The other, Our Lady of the Rocks, is a man-made island built over centuries by local sailors who, according to legend, would drop a stone in this spot every time they returned home safely from a voyage. You can take a little boat out to the island to visit its beautiful church and museum. It's a really unique and moving experience. Perast is a place to just slow down, grab a meal at a waterside cafe, and soak in the timeless beauty of the bay. Let's head to the sun-drenched region of Andalusia in Spain, home to the famous Pueblos Blancos, or white villages. While a lot of these towns are now popular tourist stops, Zahara de la Sierra has a wild, authentic feel that makes it stand out. This gorgeous village is dramatically perched on a rocky hilltop, with its whitewashed houses tumbling down the slope, overlooking an emerald green reservoir below. The village is topped by the ruins of a 12th century Nasrid castle and its perfectly preserved tower, a reminder of its history as a strategic Moorish stronghold. The climb to the top is steep, but the 360-degree views are absolutely worth it. Stretching across the lake, and the rugged mountains of the Sierra de Grizolama Natural Park. Wandering through Zahara's narrow, flower-filled streets is just a joy. The main square is the heart of the village, the perfect spot to relax with a drink and watch the locals go about their day. For a really special experience, try to visit during the Corpus Christi festival in June, when the streets are covered in a fragrant carpet of fresh rosemary and wildflowers. Zahara de la Sierra is more than just a pretty picture. It's a living village that gives you a real taste of rural Andalusian life. In the heart of Tuscany, a region known for its rolling hills and cute towns, you'll find Volterra. While most tourists make a beeline for its famous neighbor, San Gimignano, Volterra offers something a bit more real and profound. This is a city with incredibly deep roots. It was a major Etruscan center for centuries before the Romans even showed up. Sitting high on a windswept ridge, Volterra feels ancient and powerful. You can see its long, layered history everywhere, from the huge Porta all'Arco, a stunningly preserved Etruscan gate, to the ruins of a Roman theater and the medieval fortress that now holds a park. Unlike some of its more tourist-heavy neighbors, Volterra feels like a real working town. It's famous for its tradition of alabaster carving, and you can still visit workshops to watch artisans transform the translucent stone into beautiful art. The town's museums, especially the Garnacci Etruscan Museum, have world-class collections that tell the story of this mysterious ancient civilization. With its incredible views, deep history, and lively local vibe, Volterra is a refreshingly authentic piece of Tuscany. We're traveling now to Germany's beautiful Mosel Valley, a region of steep vine-covered hills and winding rivers. Tucked into a curve of the Mosel River is the town of Kokam, a place that looks like it was pulled straight out of a fairy tale. While it's getting more popular, it's still way less crowded than the towns on the nearby Rhine, giving you a more intimate feel. The town's skyline is completely dominated by the magnificent Reichsburg Kokam, a dramatic Gothic revival castle sitting on a hill 300 feet above the river. It was originally built around the year 1000 and was beautifully restored in the 19th century, so today it stands in all its non-ruined glory. Down below the castle, the Altstadt, or Old Town, is a fun maze of narrow streets, busy market squares, and charming half-timbered houses. Kokam is the heart of a famous wine region, known for its Riesling. You can spend a perfect evening at a wine stube, a traditional wine bar, trying the local vintages while watching the riverboats glide by. For the best views, hike up through the vineyards or take the chairlift for an amazing perspective of the castle, the town, and the winding river valley. Kochum is a romantic storybook gem that perfectly captures the charm of German wine country. Our journey now takes us to the classic English countryside, to the Cotswolds. a region famous for its honey-colored stone villages. Here we find Bibury, a village that the artist William Morris once called the most beautiful village in England. Its beauty is definitely not a secret, and it gets a lot of visitors, but if you can catch it in a quiet moment, you'll find a timeless charm that's impossible to ignore. Bibury's most famous spot is Arlington Row, a line of 17th century weavers' cottages with steep pitched roofs running alongside the River Colne. It's that iconic picture of rural England, now owned by the National Trust and protected for its history. The river itself, clear and slow, is full of trout, and the Bibury Trout Farm is one of the oldest in the country. A walk through the village, past the ancient St. Mary's Church and over the old stone bridges, really does feel like a little step back in time. The water meadows all around are a protected wildlife habitat, perfect quiet walk. It can get busy, but if you visit early in the morning or late in the afternoon, especially outside of peak season, you can experience the peaceful beauty that has inspired people for centuries. Let's head back to Poland, this time to the south, near the Beskid Mountains. This is Zajwyk, a town that remains pretty much off the radar for international tourists. It's a place for people who really want to get away from it all and experience a slice of real Polish life. Surrounded by mountains and sitting on the shores of a beautiful lake, Zajwyk is a haven of peace and nature. The town itself has a charming old market square and the impressive Zajwyk Castle, a former home of the Habsburgs that's surrounded by a lovely park. But the real draw here is the relaxed feeling and the beautiful natural setting. You can spend your days taking quiet walks along the lake, hiking in the nearby mountains, or just enjoying the friendly atmosphere of a town that hasn't been changed by mass tourism. Zajwyk is also famous all over Poland for its brewery, founded in 1856. You can tour the historic brewery and try one of the country's most famous beers right at the source, for travelers looking to truly escape the crowds. Low-key retreat. For our second to last stop, we're heading to the rugged coastline of Brittany and France, to the incredible walled city of Saint-Malo. This city has a fierce, independent spirit. It was historically the home of privateers and maritime adventurers. Even though it was heavily damaged in World War II, Saint-Malo was painstakingly rebuilt stone by stone, keeping its unique character and historic feel. The heart of the city is the intramuros, or within the walls. Walking the massive granite ramparts that surround the old town is a must-do, giving you incredible views of the Emerald Coast, the busy harbor, and the maze of streets below. When the tide goes out, huge sandy beaches appear, along with walkways that let you get to tidal islands like the Fort National in the Grand Bay, where the famous writer Chateaubriand is buried. The city is a paradise for seafood lovers. You can feast on fresh mussels and oysters at a bistro on the waterfront while breathing in the salty air. Despite being popular, Saint-Malo's dramatic setting and rich pirate history give it a vibe that feels both epic and authentic, a true gem of the Breton coast. Our final destination takes us to the land of fire and ice, to the southernmost village in Iceland, Vík. Even though Iceland has become incredibly popular, Vík still has a wild, end-of-the-world feeling. You don't visit this town for its buildings, but for its jaw-dropping, almost alien natural surroundings. With only a few hundred residents, it's basically a base camp for exploring one of the most dramatic coastlines on the planet. Vík is famous for Reynisfjara, its spectacular black sand beach. Standing on the dark volcanic sand while the powerful North Atlantic waves crash ashore is a truly humbling experience. Just offshore, the Reynisdrangar sea stacks rise up out of the water. Local legend says they're trolls that were turned to stone by the sunrise. The beach is also known for its amazing basalt columns, which form a cliff face that looks like a natural pyramid. The area is a haven for birdwatchers, with puffins nesting on the cliffs in the summer. The village itself, with its iconic red-roofed church sitting on a hill, is a perfect, starkly beautiful contrast to the raw, powerful landscape around it. Vík is a reminder that the most memorable places aren't always about what we've built, but about the untamed beauty of the natural world. From the boulder-covered hills of Portugal to the black sand beaches of Iceland, we've journeyed to some of the corners of Europe that don't always show up in the travel guides. These towns are proof that there is still so much magic out there to discover, hidden away from the big crowds. They remind us that the best travel memories often happen when we take a chance on the road less traveled. So, that's our list for today. But now we want to hear from you. What did you think? And more importantly, what did you think? And more importantly, what are the hidden gems that you found on your travels?
Joy, really, come on.
Light made this and pink rifle.
And not 3Bs. When made it Japan, when they'd love to read about, love to read about that, jet out here, go. I'd love that we all read it out, so we'd have them about say, got about deal, also resemble about that, there's some like not the status. What are those about here, we there? Don't forget that, don't touch that. We're still, kept exploring, like. So then, keep exploring. Well, that really best. Don't wonder that. The name that.